Have you ever felt drained, anxious, or overwhelmed by negative energy? It's not just in your mind. Islam acknowledges that harmful forces can affect your peace, health, and spirituality. From the evil eye to unseen spiritual influences, negative energy can creep into our lives, leaving us feeling vulnerable. But Allah, in His infinite wisdom, has equipped us with powerful tools to shield ourselves from such harm. In this video, we'll explore timeless Islamic practices that protect us from the detrimental effects of negativity. From the powerful recitation of Ayat al-Kursi to the daily practice of dhikr, remembrance of Allah. These divine tools help us build a protective barrier around our hearts and minds. By understanding these practices and incorporating them into our daily lives, we can restore our inner peace and keep negative forces at bay. Let's dive into the wisdom of Islam and learn how to safeguard ourselves. Point 1. Negative energy is real in Islam. In Islam, the concept of negative energy is not just a vague feeling. It has real spiritual implications. The Prophet Muhammad ﷺ spoke clearly about harmful forces such as hasad, envy, the ayn, evil eye, and even unseen influences like jinn. These forces can affect a person emotionally, physically, and spiritually. The evil eye, for example, is when someone looks at you with jealousy or admiration without invoking the name of Allah. This seemingly simple glance can bring about real harm, and it's acknowledged in authentic hadith. Beyond the evil eye, being around people who constantly complain, backbite, or spread negativity can also affect your spiritual state. Islam places great emphasis on keeping good company, because the energy around you can influence your heart. Just like light cannot mix with darkness, the soul cannot remain pure if it is constantly exposed to toxic environments. The Prophet ﷺ taught us to be spiritually aware and to take steps to protect our inner peace. Recognizing that negative energy exists is the first step. Islam encourages us to actively shield ourselves with spiritual practices, rather than ignore or dismiss these unseen dangers that quietly disturb our well-being. Point 2. Dhikr, remembrance of Allah. One of the most powerful ways to protect yourself from negative energy in Islam is through dhikr, the remembrance of Allah. Dhikr is more than just repeating phrases. It's a form of spiritual armor that strengthens the heart, calms the soul, and connects you directly with your Creator. When you engage in regular dhikr, your heart becomes filled with light, leaving no space for darkness or harmful influences to enter. The Quran says, "Verily, in the remembrance of Allah do hearts find rest." Surah Ar-Ra'd 13:28. This tranquility isn't just emotional, it's spiritual protection. Phrases like Subhanallah, Alhamdulillah, Allahu Akbar, and La ilaha illallah carry immense power. When repeated sincerely, they create a barrier against negative forces that seek to weaken your spirit or disturb your peace. Morning and evening adhkar, remembrances, are especially emphasized by the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, who regularly recited them to seek Allah's protection throughout the day. Dhikr also purifies the tongue and guards it from harmful speech, which often invites negativity. It's a daily habit that doesn't require any special time or place, just a conscious heart and a mindful tongue. And through it, you invite divine peace into every moment of your life. Point 3. Recitation of Ayat al-Kursi. Ayat al-Kursi, Surah Al-Baqarah 2255, is one of the most powerful verses in the Quran, and its spiritual significance is immense. The Prophet Muhammad ﷺ described it as the greatest verse in the Book of Allah. This single verse describes the complete authority, knowledge, and majesty of Allah, making it a fortress of protection for the believer. Reciting Ayat al-Kursi after each obligatory prayer creates a shield that guards a person until the next prayer. The Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, also advised reciting it before sleeping, promising that a guardian from Allah will be appointed to protect the person and no harm will come near them throughout the night. This is not symbolic, it's a literal promise of protection from the unseen world. What makes Ayat al-Kursi unique is that it contains the names and attributes of Allah in a deeply comprehensive way. It reminds the heart that Allah is ever watchful, never tired, and that nothing can happen without His permission. Through its recitation, a believer places full trust in Allah's power and invites divine protection into their life. Making it a daily habit is one of the most effective ways to guard against spiritual and emotional harm. Point 4. Daily recitation of Surah Al-Falaq and Surah An-Naas. Surah Al-Falaq and Surah An-Naas are known as Al-Mu'awwidhatayn, the two chapters of seeking refuge. These short yet powerful surahs were revealed specifically for protection. The Prophet Muhammad, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, would regularly recite them to safeguard himself from all forms of harm, whether seen or unseen. Surah Al-Falaq seeks Allah's protection from external threats, such as envy, magic, and the evil that exists in creation, while Surah An-Naas seeks refuge from internal dangers, especially the whisperings of shaitan that attack the heart and mind. Together, they form a complete defense system for the believer. The Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, would recite these surahs every morning and evening before going to sleep, and even blow them into his hands to wipe over his body. This practice teaches us the importance of consistent spiritual cleansing. Just like we wash our bodies daily, our souls need protection and renewal through these divine verses. These surahs are a mercy from Allah, offering us a direct means to seek His shelter from everything that threatens our peace and faith. Including them in your daily routine is like surrounding yourself with a spiritual shield, reinforcing your connection with Allah's divine protection. Point 5. Seeking refuge in Allah, du'as. In moments of fear, uncertainty, or vulnerability, the most powerful action a believer can take is to seek refuge in Allah through sincere du'as. These supplications are not mere words. They are heartfelt calls to the One who controls all things, including the unseen forces that may try to harm us. The Quran and Sunnah are filled with specific du'as the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to seek protection. One such supplication is, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. I seek refuge in Allah from the accursed devil. This short but potent phrase acts like a shield, especially in moments of anger, distraction, or fear. Similarly, the Prophet would often recite, Bismillahilladhi la yadurru ma'asmihi shay'un fil ardi, wa la fis sama'i, wa huwa as-sami'ul alim. In the name of Allah, with whose name nothing on earth or in the heavens can cause harm. Du'as are deeply personal. They reflect your reliance on Allah and your understanding that no protection is greater than His. By consistently turning to Allah with these protective prayers, especially in the morning, evening, and before sleep, you build a habit of spiritual mindfulness, inviting divine safeguarding into your daily life in a meaningful, intimate way. Point 6. Maintaining wudu, ablution. Maintaining wudu, ablution, is not just a prerequisite for prayer, it is also a source of spiritual light and protection. The Prophet Muhammad, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, taught that wudu purifies not only the body, but also the soul. Remaining in a state of wudu throughout the day invites divine presence and keeps harmful spiritual influences at bay. Wudu is a constant reminder of our connection to Allah. Every drop of water that washes the limbs also cleanses sins and renews our inner state. The Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, said that angels remain close to a person who is in a state of wudu, which means one is surrounded by spiritual purity and support. This presence acts as a shield against negative energy, whisperings of shaitan, and unseen harm. Moreover, the act of renewing wudu regularly instills a sense of discipline and awareness. It makes a person more conscious of their words and actions, knowing they are in a purified state. Even going to sleep in a state of wudu is highly recommended, as it brings peace and blessings during the night. In short, staying in wudu transforms your physical cleanliness into a continuous act of worship and a source of unseen protection. Point 7. Trust in Allah, Tawakkul. Tawakkul, or placing your complete trust in Allah, is one of the most powerful defenses against negative energy. It is the deep-rooted belief that no harm can touch you unless Allah allows it, and no good can reach you except by His will. This inner conviction creates a sense of calm that repels fear, anxiety, and spiritual vulnerability. When a believer truly relies on Allah, their heart is no longer shaken by people's opinions, harmful intentions, or unseen threats. This trust acts as a shield, strengthening the soul from within. The Quran beautifully states, "And whoever puts his trust in Allah, then He is sufficient for him." Surah Al-Falaq 65:3. This divine assurance reminds us that protection doesn't come from material means alone, but from surrendering to the One who controls all affairs. Tawakkul also empowers action. It doesn't mean being passive. Rather, it means doing your part through dhikr, prayer, and good deeds, while leaving the outcome to Allah. It shifts your focus from fear of the creation to hope in the Creator. When your heart is anchored in trust, negativity loses its power over you, and you walk through life with confidence, knowing Allah is always by your side. As we've learned today, Islam provides us with powerful tools to protect ourselves from negative energy and stay spiritually strong. By incorporating practices like dhikr, reciting Surah Al-Falaq and Surah An-Naas, and placing our trust in Allah through tawakkul, we can shield ourselves from the harmful forces around us. Thank you for watching. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Pure Deen for more insightful content. May Allah bless you with peace, protection, and endless barakah. Comment below with your favorite dua for protection and share your thoughts with us.